Hello, welcome back. Okay, okay. We're going to day two. It's gonna be the morning after. Oh my lord. Okay, let's go. Oh no. The sound of birds chirping outside pulled me from my slumber as streaks of sunlight peeked through the blinds of my window and cast a warm glow across my skin. I wanted nothing more than to reach out and close the blinds, but something, or rather someone, seemed to be stopping me. A familiar pair of white sleeves are wrapped securely around my waist, so I turn around, only to find Ren staring intently at me from his side of the bed. Oh right, I forgot that we... How did you forget that? Heat rises to my cheek as the memories from last night come rushing back, and I sheepishly try to hide my reddening face in the pillow. Hide my face too! But Ren only seems to find amusement in my state of embarrassment with how his eyes kringle while he lightly chuckles underneath the morning light. He looked far too pretty in the sunlight for a man who'd surely woken up no more than 5 minutes ago, and I had to fight the urge to take a picture of him to commit the scene to memory. On second thought, that would have been far too creepy. But I couldn't help myself from stealing one more peek at his soft demeanor before covering my face again. And without warning, Ren pulls me closer before he nuzzles his head into the crook of my neck and inhales deeply. His sudden act of affection startled me, to say the least, and despite the events that unfolded last night, he seemed far too comfortable to be acting this familiar and cuddly with me. How was he acting so carefree after what we had done? It was like he thought that waking up to each other like this was completely normal to him. Morning. Morning. Admittedly, his sleepy voice sounded rather pleasant when he spoke it so close to my ear, but I had other, more pressing issues to concern myself over. I just didn't know how to casually broach the topic with him yet. Ren, however, didn't want to acknowledge the heavy air between us, and instead felt content with snuggling up to me and tickling my neck with his breath. So, to try and put some distance between us, I push against his chest and attempt to strike up a conversation. Good morning, sleepyhead. How long have you been awake? Long enough to find out that you drool in your sleep. Bitch! It happens. I do? Nah, I'm just kidding. Oh. His laughter goes across my cheek as he nuzzles his face into my neck once more, and his hands glide across my back to draw me impossibly close to his body. Close enough until both of our bodies are pressed against each other and I could feel the all too familiar warmth radiating from his skin. The sensation sends a shiver up my spine and I only hope Bren didn't notice it. Are you hungry? I can make us breakfast if you want. Can't we stay here instead? No. As much as I'd love to sleep in, I don't want to waste the day. But I do, and you're very warm. Bitch! I need to change the locks on my door! Get out! And you're getting a bit too clingy. While I meant it lightheartedly, I don't think Grant took it the same way, judging from how the low whine that emits from the back of his throat and the deep sigh he releases into my skin. It takes him a moment before he finally detaches himself from me, and even from my spot on the bed, I could see the soft pout he was sporting. Aww. And without a care in the world, I see that. Put on some pants. And without a care in the world, Ren sits up from his side of the bed and lets out a lengthy, drawn-out yawn, not acknowledging the blanket falling from his body and exposing his lower half to my eyes. There's a blanket! Hold on. We're not doing that. Almost sheepishly, I averted my gaze and waited until he was done. You know, we could go to that cafe near the pier for breakfast, the one that recently opened up. You mean the Driftwood Cafe? I didn't know it was open to the public yet. If you want, we could have a look. Besides, you said it yourself that you didn't want to waste the day. What better way to start it than by going on a nice sunny morning walk? I see your logic, Pink Man. He sent me a cheeky smile, but I can tell by his sarcastic tone that the last thing he wants to do is get out of bed. Get out of bed! Don't make me have to read through all of that again. Get out of bed! But seeing him act so casual and lively, it makes me wonder what had happened to his shy persona from yesterday. It got laid! Was he more comfortable around me now? I hope so. I certainly would assume so after how intimate we got last night. Of course, I still need to talk to him about that, but Ren seems almost adamant about avoiding the topic altogether. You have plan B, bitch? Are you on birth control? Well, I suppose we'll cross the bridge when we get there. The thought of good food was much more tempting. But wait, where did I... Glancing over at Ren once more, I noticed how he almost seemed flustered as he looked around the room before lifting up the sheets and the pillows around him. He doesn't know where his pants are. He sends me a sheepish smile when our eyes briefly meet before he goes back to searching for whatever it was he was looking for on the floor. And I almost got rolled over when he tries to hoist the blanket around his waist and arise from the bed. I don't suppose... Do you know where my pants are? Rolling my eyes, I toss him a pillow to cover up with before groaning into my arm. God. In the end, Ren and I decided to walk to the cafe together, considering how the weather was perfect and it wasn't that far from my apartment. We're in public, we're safe. Turning to my side, I notice how the pink-haired man tries to not so subtly sneak side glances towards me. Speaking of, what did you do to my coworker? The arm at his side practically itches to reach out, and if I knew any better, I would have assumed he wanted to hold my hand. But instead, he simply tucks his hand to his pockets and shoots me yet another soft smile. The weather's really nice today, huh? Back to small talk, it seems. Sure is. If I had known it'd be nice and sunny, I would have suggested spending the day at the beach instead. Yeah? Yeah, we could go for a swim, or maybe even check out the rock pools. It's been a while since I've been there. Oh, that does sound fun. Mira! Leon! At the sound of my name being called, I turned on my heel, only to find Leon running up to me with a sport bag full of what I assumed to be his volleyball gear. Hey yo, Sunfish. It's good to see you out and about this early. I was just on my way to the beach to meet up with Yeung and Theo. Want to tag along? And hey, it's Ren. No! Nice to see you, buddy. It's Ren, actually. Sunfish. Oh. Huh? Oh yeah. Sunfish is a cheesy nickname Leon gave me when we were kids. I don't really get it either, to be honest. So, Sunfish and Ren, was it? Sorry about that, but I'm not too good with names faces too sometimes. But hey, it's good to see you both again. Doing anything exciting today? If not, you can tag along with me, and Angelfish and I were about to go on a date, actually. Oh god. Angelfish. A date? I don't miss the way Ren suddenly pulls my arm closer to his side, nor the way he clings onto me as though I'd suddenly disappear. You're going on dates again, darling. Good for you. I'm glad to see that you're coming out of your shell again. Take good care of her for me, won't you, buddy? What do you think I've been doing ever since you moved away? Huh? Huh? What do you mean ever since you moved away? How long have you been stalking me? Oh no. Like me, Leon barely seems to notice Ren's mumbling as he rests an arm over my shoulder and starts tugging me in the direction of the beach. Ren, on the other hand, still latches onto my arm but doesn't seem to move. I can't believe my little Sunfish is out here in the dating scene again. I feel like a proud father. Oh, bitch, please. Oh, please, we're basically the same age. I feel like a proud adoptive father. Bitch! Leon pretends to wipe a tear away from his eyes as he leans further into my shoulder. And it was only then that I noticed Ren wasn't following us. Turning around, I reach out to grab his hand instead to tug him along. He immediately seems to perk up at the action and twines his fingers with mine before falling into step. Alright, as fun as it is to catch up with my proud adoptive father, who's the same age as me, which makes things kind of weird, Ren and I do need to get going. Oh yeah, of course, I didn't mean to take up so much of your time. He unhooks his arm from around my shoulder and inclines his head towards the beach one more time. But my offer still stands. If you want to catch up more, I'll be down on the beach with... Who are you? Who is that? Are you going to the beach with him? Who the fuck is this? I don't think I can handle more bullshit, to be honest with you. Alright, let's see. Oh my lord, dude. Oi. Speak of the devil. Much like Jay, Theodore was another friend I made in university. But if I was being honest here, I don't think he was actually enrolled in anything. He just showed up ever so often to keep his attendance rate up and to antagonize some of the students and staff. As if reading my mind, Theo practically runs into Ren with the sole purpose of sending him tumbling into the metal railing behind him. But luckily, Ren managed to catch his footing and at the last second sending Theo on an annoyed scowl of his own. Ah shit, sorry about that. I'm not sure how I missed such a brightly colored children's mascot. Yo, toxic! Alright, there's no need for that here. Despite Leon's stone, Theo barely pays the shorter man any mind, seemingly far more interested in Ren instead. Let me guess, you're dressed up as Benny the Buttercup. My 4-year-old cousin would love you. Oi, knock it off, mate. What's your problem? Don't know. What's yours? Are we seriously having a dick measuring contest? It's 9 a.m., my dudes. I want to go eat. I would practically feel the tension between the two grow, so I decided to step in. Maybe you should introduce each other first before you try glaring at each other to death? Theo, this is Ren. He's my, well, I'm her boyfriend. Well, that was certainly one way to put it, especially without discussing it with me beforehand or asking my input. But then again, we did sleep together last night, and I still hadn't been able to broach the subject with him yet. At his word, I shoot Ren a confusing glance, but the determined look on his face had me biting back my words. Okay then. Anyways, this is Theo. He's... How will you respond? He's a friend from university. He's my ex-boyfriend. He's just a fling. I've never met this man in my life. I've never met this man in my life. Oh my god. What happens if I say he's a friend from university? Because are all of these true? Can I be like, well, we went to university and he's technically my ex-boyfriend? Or it's like, yeah, we were in university together. And he goes like, I was her boyfriend. You know what? Let's just come clean. Let's just come clean. He's my ex. Yeah, I don't like to date people outside my tax bracket. What the fuck? And I don't get it twisted, doll. We were never exclusive. I never even brought up the concept of dating when I was with you. Oh, that explains why you were fine with cheating on me. Wait, what? I thought you guys were just friends. What an asshole. Not wrong. Look, it's not cheating if I was never just your boyfriend. Alright, why don't we change the subject? I'm sorry, you weren't my boyfriend? Then why would you ask me not to see other people? You think I'd want to share you with others and let them have what's mine? Bitch! Before I can step forward and knock some sense to that idiot, Ren seems to beat me to it. He grabs the other male by the collar of his shirt, but Theo only looks at him with a lazy smirk. The fuck's your problem, asshole? That was the second time I'd ever heard Ren swear. Was he usually this accustomed to cussing? Okay, enough. Look, why don't we just drop the issue? You really need to stop trying to pick fights with everyone, mate. Don't get your panties in a twist. I seriously doubt Buttercup's capable of harming a fly, let alone be able to throw a decent punch. Wait, I'm not gonna tell you what Buttercup's capable of. Fuck you, dude. You could drop the nickname. Nah, but I think Dollface over here should drop you instead. Besides, the nickname is kinda cute. Matches your style pretty well, don't you think, Buttercup? This guy is such an asshole! I could see Ren's hand clench into a fist as he advanced towards Theo, but thankfully Leon stepped in once more. Seriously, why don't we call a cool off, huh? I think we're getting a bit too heated. Leon, get him the fuck out of here! Look, we're gonna head down to the beach. Adam Mr. Waynos sends Theo a sharp glare. Are you sure you don't want to join us, Mira? I promise to make sure that Theo stays on his best behavior. Is this his best behavior? No, fuck him. I'll hang out with Leon though. Leon's nice. Fuck you. Sorry, Leo, but I've already made plans with Ren. And seriously, I doubt they'll be able to get along. You know how Theo can get. Yeah, you've got a point there. Well, alright then. He leans closer to me, almost as if he didn't want the other two eavesdropping. If anything happens, I'll be in the area. Just come find me, okay? I will. Thanks, Leon. I give his arm a soft squeeze and turn my attention back to Ren. But by the way he looks at us, I can only assume that he didn't like how close I was standing to my childhood friend. Though that could have also been because Theo was still around, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. Regardless, I reach for his hand once more and tug him towards the cafe, making a point of ignoring Theo's crass words as we went along. I barely notice how Ren's mood immediately changed when my attention is back on him, and he follows along with like a lost puppy. Man. We eventually arrive at the Driftwood Cafe, and the smell of fresh pastries and brewed coffee flood my senses as it wafts through the open windows. I need something a bit stronger than coffee right now, man. The fuck? How do you start your morning like this? God damn it. And just as I had thought, the cafe looked as though it had only recently opened, though it didn't seem as busy or crowded as I anticipated. Pulling me from my thoughts, Ren ushers me into one of the empty tables before he goes off to make an order with the pleased look on his face. It was a bit strange how he didn't want to look at the menu first, but I chalked it up to him wanting to surprise me. He's barely gone for 5 minutes before he returns once more, taking a seat in front of me with a huff. A comfortable silence washes over us, and I watch as he absentmindedly fiddles with the ends of his hair. Was he still concerned about what Theo said about his appearance earlier? Maybe it'd be a good idea to take his mind off of it. Hey, Ren. Almost immediately, he perks up with wide eyes. How do you manage to keep your hair so fluffy? It always looks so good. Ren seems to flush instantly at my words, and he sheepishly ducks his head lower to hide his reddening cheeks. You like it? I usually just angle a blow jar below my chin and blast the heat, and it just stays like that afterwards. Oh, so you don't need to use any products or anything? No, not really. Just when I thought he got over his timid personality, it slowly came crawling back. Was this really who he was? Ren must have taken my silence as lack of response, seeing as he tries to strike up another conversation. So how's work going for you, huh? Finally got that promotion? Yeah, I did. How does he know about it? I was honestly surprised when I got my first promotion, considering I've only moved back here recently. But Eleanor's been really helpful by showing me the ropes and... Wait, how did you know I got promoted? Oh, your coworker told me about it yesterday after you left. Eleanor, right? She seems really proud of you. Anyway, we were just saying about her showing you the ropes. I barely knows how you managed to change the conversation back to me, as I recounted all the times Eleanor helped me through my first week of working at the library. And eventually reached the point where it felt like I had been talking for hours, and it wasn't until something caught my eye that I finally did stop. Look at that cute puppy. That goth style is pretty cool. You've got something in your hair. Sorry, what were you saying? Huh? What happens if I do this? Goth style? He also glances out the window and follows my line of sight before landing on the person walking by. They were decked out head to toe with heavy makeup, platform boots, and clothing that you'd only find in stores like not topic. Not topic. Ren's eyes seemed to follow their form until they're out of sight, and the impassive look on his face made me curious. Yeah, it is kind of cool. Do you like that kind of style? Because I always thought you preferred something softer. Order 25! Oh, that's us. Wait right here. I'll be right back. I'm only, like, leaning into the goth thing because of, like, the fact that my neighbor said someone broke into my apartment. And I figured it was him. Before I could get a word in, Ren was jumping out of his seat and meandering his way towards the kiosk. It really was a sight to behold, seeing Ren tower over most of the other customers who were waiting in line. Even the cashier herself, who seemed to be at least 6 feet tall, had to crane her neck upwards just to look at him. What? How big is this dude? But before I could blink twice, Ren was already on his way back with a large tray full of delicious food. He seats himself back in his original spot with a pleased smile and begins to lay out the dishes in front of me. Oh, this is... Nice one. A delicious looking scone, a chocolate croissant, a big slice of cake, a sugary cookie, a croissant. A croissant with chocolate filling sits next to my beverage, and I almost hear my stomach rumble at the sight. How did Ren know that this was my favorite thing to order? Granted, it wasn't like I've been to Drift Cafe before, but this was usually what I'd order at any other cafe. It was honest like he could read my mind. And what was even more mind-boggling was that he didn't even need to look at the menu beforehand. It was like he just knew. Don't forget your drink. Ren shoots me another gentle smile of his before placing my drink before me. No way. The drink he placed in front of me, it was... a cup of coffee, a steaming latte, a can of soda, a fruity smoothie, a latte. I could tell by the scent that he ordered me a nice warm latte. Just like the one I usually bring on my way to work sometimes. I hope this is okay. Unfortunately, this cafe doesn't really have much to offer, judging from the menu I saw online. Ah, so that's how he knew what to order. I even tried asking for napkins earlier, but I don't think they heard me. Maybe I should try again? I almost felt bad for him, but I also felt grateful for ordering me something that I'd normally eat at a cafe. Ren makes sure everything is on the table before putting the tray aside, and it was then that I noticed what he'd ordered himself. On his face, I had a strawberry sweet roll, along a cup of coffee that was an alarming shade of black. He seemed to pick up on my inquisitive stare, as if the instant tilt of his head was anything to go by. Do you want my meal instead? We can swap it if you want. I don't mind. No. This was supposed to be a date, right? Deciding to tease him a little, I shoot Ren a slight grin. That's okay, but you could offer me a bite instead. Ren almost seemed to combust on the spot as his cheeks turned red, and he almost chokes on his own spit. He looks down at his food before glancing back at me, only to look down once more to scoop up a bite-sized piece of his food. I watch as Ren's cheek turn a deep shade of red while he brings his fork closer to me, and all wanting to be seen as a coward, I leaned in to take a bite. His eyes widen almost immediately, and he seems hyper-focused on the way my mouth wraps around the fork before I lick my lips and let out a pleased hum. It's yummy. Try some. The pink-haired man seemed to have an awkward long staring contest with his own fork before scooping up yet another small piece and taking a bite. Ren's cheeks are still scarlet red, and he seems almost fidgety with how his legs keeps bouncing under the table, so I decide to take pity on him and not tease him for it. With a knowing smile, I start digging into my own meal with a pleased hum. This poor guy. He's getting, like, harassed by my ex and I'm bullying him. What the fuck? Eventually, I end up finishing our meals and I decide to go for a bit of window shopping to pass the time. I had nothing else to do today, and Ren seemed insistent on spending the rest of his time with me, so I agreed. We passed by a few clothing stores, ice cream stands, surfboard rentals, and many other interesting buildings, though nothing really caught my eye. But just as I thought I'd lost all hope, a store in particular catches my eye. Is it not Topic? On one of the display windows, I spotted this cute little rabbit plushie in the style of Haruko's likeness. I mean, it even came with his limited edition sorcerer outfit and everything. I couldn't believe they were selling these things here, of all places, and at such a cheap price too. Oh, hi. Ren seems to notice that I was not necessarily gawking at, but before we could enter the store, the cashier walks in front of the display stand and blocks our view. She drops a box of miscellaneous items at her feet and begins stocking the shelf next to the plushies, before she finally notices us standing by the window. I don't miss the way her eyes widen at Ren, obviously taking in immediate liking to him, and almost shamelessly pushes a strand of her hair behind her ears before giving him a small wave. Sneaking a glance at the taller man beside me, I noticed how Ren wasn't even paying attention to her, instead keeping himself busy by scratching at his jaw and kicking at the stray cobblestone rock by his feet. But the cashier seemed adamant about getting Ren's attention, considering how she felt the need to abandon her spot by the shelves and make her way towards us. Hi there, welcome to Seaside Trinkets. My name is Olivia. Can I help you with anything? Oh no, we're just looking around, but thanks we recently got some new beachwear merch if you're interested in checking them out. Was she seriously ignoring me? Oh, you kind of look like someone I know. Have we met before? Maybe we went to the same school. He looks like the stuffed animal. Me? I don't think so. Really? I definitely would have remembered a face like yours. Actually, now that I get a good look at you, I watch as she shamelessly takes in Ren's appearance before crossing her arms over her chest and leaning back. You also remind me of one of those characters from a cartoon that's been gaining a lot of traction there. Apparently, one of the locations from that show is based on Coral Bay, main beach. Oh, really? Are you talking about Attack on Giant? Is that the name of it? Then yeah. I don't really know much about those cartoons, but our company recently started selling some stuff for it to entice the tourists. Do you want to come inside and take a look? Ren doesn't seem to answer her question, but instead casts an inquisitive glance at my direction. It was like he was asking me for my opinion. I can only assume it was because he knew about my interest in the anime. It was thoughtful of him to do that, but I kind of wanted him to tell the rude worker off instead. Did I? Not really. Wait, did I really want him to do that? What was wrong with me? I'm sure that the cashier just took an interest in him, and there was nothing wrong with that. It's not like we were a couple anyway. But we were supposed to be on a date right now, and Ren did declare himself as my boyfriend earlier. But I just assumed he had that in order to get Theo off my back. Does that mean, was he feeling the same way as me? Was he jealous of his mind? Was jealousy on his mind when we talked with Leon and Theo earlier? I wasn't sure how I felt about this new discovery. Mira? Huh? Do you want to go look at the items? We're still got a bit of time to kill. Here, why don't I show you the most recent stock? We haven't shown this to any general public yet, but I'm sure you'll love it. Without warning, Olivia, what was her name, reaches out for Ren's arm and practically drags him inside the store. He lets out a surprised sound before leaning back and trying to grab hold of my own arm as well, but I was just out of his reach. There was nothing else I could do but watch as Ren helplessly gets pulled into the store. It's back here in the stockroom. Usually we don't allow customers downstairs, but you're a real hottie, so I'll let you take a sneak peek! No, actually, I'm good. Don't worry, we won't get caught. I'm sure your girlfriend won't mind if I borrow you for a bit. The wink she sends him would have made anyone feel uncomfortable, and had Ren turned around, I would have seen the piss-off look on his face. But instead, he leans in close to her face and whispers in a hushed tone that I could barely hear from my spot outside the store. If she wasn't standing there right now, I would have shut your desperate ass down the staircase without a second thought. Oh! Oh, fuck! Alright, now, it's just... And right now, it's really fucking tempting. What? From their current position, it looked as though they were having a really intimate conversation. I felt a sudden urge to look away. Why was I getting so bothered over this? I know we aren't exactly together, but Ren shouldn't be off flirting with another people while on a date with someone else. He's not flirting! Besides, this was exactly the type of thing Theo would do to me when we were dating. Oh my god. Theo You ruined this girl. He'd go around shamelessly flirting with other people, sometimes while I was in the very same room. And what made it worse that he'd simply laugh it off by saying that he was just messing around and that I shouldn't be getting so worked up. Honestly, I couldn't believe that Ren was doing the same thing to me right now. But still, there was this nagging voice at the back of my head that kept telling me not to give up on him so easily. Ren was the one who confidently stood his ground when Theo got a bit suggestive, so maybe I should do the same. Would he even mind? Before I can stop myself, my feet start to move on autopilot as I march towards the two of them and reach for Ren's sleeve. I give it a hesitant tug, and I swear I could almost feel the relief wash over his body because of it. Ren's entire demeanor seems to change in that moment, and he turns to me with a relieved smile and soft features. I don't really have any interest in this store. Can we go somewhere else? Yeah, of course. Wait, hold on. Ren carelessly shoves Olivia's outstretched hand aside and gently places an arm over my shoulder instead. And just like that, he's already guiding me out of the store and back into the busy street. I can hear Olivia sputter out confused sounds as she watches the two of us leave, and I suddenly felt guilty for causing a rift between them. I mean, he was gonna push her down the stairs. Which means, did he push Eleanor down some stairs? No matter how many times I tried to brush it aside, I couldn't get my mind off of what had just occurred earlier. What if Ren was interested in her? Granted, he probably shouldn't have blatantly flirted with her while on a date with me, but he wasn't exactly the most confident guy. He wasn't flirting! Would he still be able to talk to her again if things didn't work out between us? No, I shouldn't be thinking like that. Bring up the gorgeous expression, I noticed how he didn't really look all that upset about leaving her. If anything, he seemed rather content to be walking down the street with his fingers entwined with mine once more. I can feel him give my hand a protective squeeze as he looks down at me with his soft blue eyes, and all of my worries somehow melt away. Maybe I did make the right choice after all. It might have been selfish, but it was worth having Ren look at me with such a gentle expression. Eventually, the sun starts to set behind the ocean as Ren and I continue walking along the beach walk. Most of the conversation was geared towards me and my interest again, but every time I tried to learn more about Ren, he only seemed to divert the conversation back to me once more. But the more I focused on the odd behavior, the more I began to pick up on his social habits as well. I learned that Ren would subtly pick at the sleeves of his cardigan whenever he got nervous, or how he'd scratch at his jawline whenever the conversation strayed down a path he didn't feel comfortable with. His little quirks told me more about himself than the dead-end conversations that only led back to me, and I was content with knowing more about him than I did yesterday. Ren no longer felt like a stranger I had met at the library, but rather someone I could consider a friend. He was like knuckles deep into you. Except friends will spend the night together and get jealous whenever they flirt with someone else. Jeez, what's wrong with me? It had barely been 2 days and I was already contemplating whether or not I truly saw Ren in a romantic light. Was I going too fast? All these thoughts were starting to get a bit overwhelming and... Angel, hello? Huh? You're spacing out on me again. There's that look again. He keeps peering down at me with so much adoration in his eyes, as if I didn't know any better, I would think that he was already halfway in love with me. But that was a very conceited thought and probably wasn't even true. Sorry, I was just thinking about things. Are you going to share those things with the rest of the class? He sends me a playful smile and a gentle nudge into my side, and I couldn't help but laugh. When did we become so comfortable with each other, and when did he lose his stutter? It's nothing really, maybe a bit embarrassing, but, well, I was wondering. How do you feel about... My sentence gets cut short when a drop of rain lands on my cheek. Instinctively, I look up and find myself wondering how I didn't notice those dark clouds in the sky sooner. All of a sudden, more droplets fall down until all but pouring rain and forcing everyone in the air to find cover. Over here! Ren doesn't seem to pay much attention when he grabs me by the hand and pulls me underneath one of the awnings of a nearby building. He shields me from the rain with his body, and I couldn't help but feel tiny with his arms caged. Help but feel tiny with the way his arm caged me in as he rests them against the wall. The rain is loud. Why is the rain so loud? We look at each other in silence for a brief moment before erupting in laughter. Perhaps it was because of the adrenaline from all the panicked running, or the fact that Ren's hair was starting to lose its fluffiness, but I couldn't hold back more before letting out a fit of giggles. This only seemed to spur Ren on a spell until we were both wheezing out our lungs and gulping down air. I can't remember the last time I ran that fast. Me too. The looming sound of thunder echoes from afar and drowns out our laughter until we're both silenced once more. Once we both calm down, Ren moves me further away from the rain before casting a glance behind him. Wait here, I'll buy us an umbrella so we can get out of this rain. But you'll get soaked! It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I roll my eyes at his corny joke and send him off with an amused smile. He doesn't look back before he makes a mad dash out into the rain and down the street towards the closest convenience store. Though the rain only seems to get heavier the moment he leaves, and I find myself pressing even further against the wall behind me to avoid the recoil of the rain bouncing off the pavement. Why is the rain so loud? Why? The rain is just loud! There wasn't much for me to do while I waited for Ren to return, aside from watching people scramble around for shelter. And just like that, the carefree sound of laughter echoing from down the street captured my attention as I watched Leo, Theo, and Jay all run down to cover their life depending on it. Well, it seems as though their beach outing got cut short as well. Glancing back once more, I barely make out the figure of Leon using his bag as a makeshift umbrella as he ducks under one of the awnings of an ice cream stand. All while Theo and Jay trail behind at a leisure pace, kicking and splashing water at each other in the rain. I had to look away to the moment Theo started to remove his shirt, and I had an inkling that it was so that he could show off. And knowing Jay, he'd follow along with a mindless grunt, because that's what he always does when it came to his friends. A part of me felt like calling out to the group to see if we could wait out the storm alongside them, but they all seemed to be enjoying themselves and I didn't want to get in between that. Plus, I did promise Ren that I'd wait for him here. Even if he was taking his sweet time. Was he ever going to return? Was there still no sign of him or his comfy-looking cardigan, and I was beginning to wonder if he really did ditch me. After all, it must have been more than 15 minutes by now. What if he got caught up with something, or what if he went back to see that cashier lady again? Her store did happen to be on the same street, but after spending the afternoon with Ren and getting to know him, I concluded that he wasn't the type of person to do such a thing. But if he was, then that would only add insult to injury, considering how Theo had done the same thing to me multiple times in the past. Although if I was being honest with myself, it did seem as though they had chemistry. Especially with how she looked at him and touched him as though it was the most natural thing in the world. She apparently knew him as well, or at least he looked recognizable enough. Why did that thought make my blood boil? Thankfully, the rain was here to cool me off, as well as soak the ends of my outfit and make everything feel damp and uncomfortable. Was Ren really coming back? It shouldn't take this long to buy an umbrella. I don't know. Am I gonna hurt my own feelings? I'll wait. Maybe something did come up? I'm sure he'll come back. As if on cue, I spot a familiar patch of pink hair from within the misty rain, frantically sprinting with an umbrella in one hand and a bag under the other. Ah! He almost slammed into me before stopping just in time, and I could tell by the way he was wheezing that he ran all the way back here without stopping. Sorry, I thought I almost lost you there for a second. It's so hard to see in this weather. Jeez, Ren, what took you so long? I almost wanted to cuss him out for taking well over 20 minutes just to buy a simple umbrella, but a genuine apologetic look on his features made me hold my tongue. Sorry, I ran into your friends from earlier, which took forever for me to shake them off. And then the convenience store ended up closing early due to the sudden weather change. So then I had to go to that awful souvenir shop with that obnoxious and clingy cashier again, and he was talking a mile a minute, and I was worried he'd end up biting his tongue. Gently, I raised a hand to signal for him to calm down, and his intense monologue soon comes to a halt. I'm really sorry about making you wait so long, but ta-da! I did manage to get an umbrella, along with other things as well. He gives it a small twirl in his hand, sending droplets of water all over the place. We can start heading back home now if you want, unless you want to go somewhere specific. We can go to your apartment. My apartment, sure, it's not that far away. We could wait outside the storm right here if you'd like. No! I even have a heater and dryer we could use. The image of me sitting in front of a warm, cozy heater was too hard to resist, so I ended up eagerly stepping under Ren's umbrella while he leads the way. I want to see what his house is like. Despite the heavy downpour of rain, we managed to make it to Ren's apartment complex in one piece. I guess he really wasn't lying when he said his apartment wasn't far from mine. But judging from the pristine interior and fully functioning elevator, his building seemed to be in far better shape compared to my apartment. Asking if his building was looking for tenants. The elevator ride could have been a little less awkward though if it weren't for the slow ascent of tacky music. Or for the fact that Ren deemed it appropriate to shake his hair like a wet dog and get water droplets everywhere. Once the elevator door slid open, I was immediately met with a grandiose corridor and large spacious doors, and I found myself wondering how much it costs to live in a place like this. Probably a lot. Don't look too hard at how messy my place is, okay? I wasn't expecting to have someone over today, so I didn't bother cleaning up. I'm getting a weird sense of deja vu. Thankfully, I don't have any white-haired neighbors who like to take their plants on walks. Actually, now that I think about it, it's a bit strange, but no one lives on this floor aside from me. I'm not really sure why, but I'm not gonna complain. I can make as much noise as I want, and no one would notice. Ren shoots me a mischief grin. I find myself wondering what he meant by that. Like, loud music and stuff? Movies? Yeah, something like that. He's not talking about that. He's either talking about murder or sex. He unlocks the door with some electronic card attached to his keychain, and the moment the door swings open, I let out an audible gasp. Ren doesn't seem fazed in the slightest as he flicks on the lights and walks into his own home, but I could only stand there at the entrance to his foyer in shock. Yes, foyer. He had a whole damn foyer in his apartment. Was this even an apartment? Surely a penthouse would have made more sense. Holy shit, Ren. Is there something wrong? What is it? I know the decor is kind of tacky, but it came with the apartment, and I haven't found the time to do anything about it yet. I'm sorry, but are you the long-lost heir of a billionaire or something? This place is huge. And oh my god, is that marble? No, I just get paid a lot for my job. Enough to afford rent, at least. You know, I don't think I've asked you this yet, but what exactly is your job? My job is, I guess you could say I'm a programmer? I don't know. I just take a few jobs every so often. Nothing super fancy or anything. Are you stuck in the machine? Are you Monica? Nothing super fancy. Ren, you have a marble flooring. Leaving a newly discovered programmer at the entrance, I curiously venture further into his apartment. Marble's a pain in the ass to clean, too. Oh, Angel, do you want some slippers? The floor can get cold and your shoes are probably soaked, right? Turning around, I notice Ren opening a small closet and pulling out a pair of dark house slippers. He looks at me with a curious expression but makes no effort to hand them over. Only if you want them. I'll take them, but only because they might be douchey. Ren lets out a puff of laughter through his nose at my joke, but doesn't seem to deny it. What? As I put them on, I noticed how they were in my exact size, and it made me wonder if he had bought the bunch of expensive house slippers in varying sizes. But as funny as that imagery was, how did Ren accurately guess my shoe size without seeing my feet? Here, why don't I show you to the bathroom? I'll find you something to wear in the meantime while your clothes are in the dryer. Or would you prefer a towel? Sorry, I don't usually invite people over. Seeing his timid side resurface once more gave me the sudden urge to tease him. Just a towel. It's Egyptian cotton. Do you have any friends? Am I your first house guest? Wait. Am I his first house guest? Am I your first house guest? You've taken a lot more of my first than you've realized. I'm sorry! Oh my god! I'm actually very picky with who I invite over, and I prefer to be on my own most of the time, so I don't usually bring people over. I'm sorry, I took your opportunity. You never answered the question. I give him a teasing smile, and he shyly turns his head away instead. Anyway, I'll show you to the bathroom. You can use whatever you want there. Nothing is off limits. First it was offering to spend the night at my place, and then it was asserting himself as my boyfriend in front of his friends. He really doesn't care about personal boundaries, huh? I was beginning to think that Ren didn't really seem to mind when it came to me invading his personal bubbles as well. Though this still seemed pretty standoffish around Theo and Leon, and it took him a while to warm up to Eleanor back at the library. He even seemed indifferent when he first met Violet, but I figured it was only because he was shy. Speaking of being shy, I still noticed how Ren didn't seem to be switching up his personality as much anymore, and I was beginning to think that he was showing me his real side. Up until now, everything felt real and genuine, and I found that we could bounce back with witty retorts between each other more easily. Though every now and again he might slip up and stutter, but I just assumed it was because my teasing made him flustered. So maybe the timid side of him was genuine after all. But I'll leave some clothes for you outside, and put the plushies I bought for you in your room. Huh? Oh yeah, thanks. Your room? I have a room? You have a guest room. Great, I was zoning out again. I completely missed half of what he was saying. Something about clothes? And the plushie he bought? Was he talking about the Haruko plushie I was eyeing up earlier? I mean, he was carrying a gift back from the souvenir shop earlier. Did he really buy me a toy? Ren, however, doesn't seem to pick up on my confusion though, and invitingly opens the bathroom door for me with a soft smile. And so, without thinking to make things awkward, I quickly slip inside and lean against the door for support. Which was fortunate for me because one sweep of the bathroom had me stumbling back in surprise. Yo. Whoa. Even his restroom looked expensive. I was afraid of touching anything, fearing I'd accidentally break it and end up paying for it. Glancing around again, I noticed how his countertop seemed to be void of any dental care, hairbrush, sorry, hairbrushes and skincare products, though a few bottles of concealer and an open box of hair dye sat in the corner near the sink. Well, I guess that answers my burning question on whether or not he naturally had pink hair. But now it made me worried if Ren does dye his hair, then what was his natural hair color? There were still so many things I didn't know about that soft-looking guy, and I was beginning to question whether coming here was a good idea or not. With a sigh, I decided not to waste any more time thinking about irrelevant things and instead turned my attention back to the shower. Quickly stripping out of my clothes, I jumped into the unnecessarily large glass booth and turned the water on. Glancing at Ren's shelf of, albeit limited, hair products, I couldn't help but notice that one brand in particular just so happens to be the exact same as mine. Did we use the same shampoo? He didn't really smell like me, but maybe that was because I wasn't paying much attention. I mean, who randomly smells people out of the blue anyway? Shaking my head at such a silly notion, I began to scrub away the lingering smell of rain from my body and quickly finished washing up. Bundled up in a warm towel, I cracked open the large door and poked my head out into the hallway. True to his word, Ren left a small pile of clothing outside the bathroom, neatly stacked and propped against the side of the wall. Bringing the contents back inside, I noticed that one piece of clothing in particular was a rather comfy-looking hoodie. But the design of the front, however, was rather morbid-looking and didn't really suit Ren's vibes. Maybe from a horror film or something. Huh? Shrugging my shoulders, I put the hoodie on and instantly gets enveloped by the sheer amount of fabric. I mean, it made sense considering Ren's large and lanky frame, but this was just absurd. I had to stifle a laugh from the amusing sight in the fogged-up mirror, but I had to admit that the soft fabric felt nice and warm against my skin. Even the scent that came from it felt oddly comforting somehow. Turning back to the remaining clothes in the pile, I gently picked up the next item and tried to put it on. The gray sweatpants didn't seem to fit the length of my legs despite the number of times I tried to roll up the elastic, but luckily, Brennan was thoughtful enough to give me other alternatives. The pair of shorts seemed like the better option, especially since it came with drawstrings and deep pockets. Once I was fully dressed, I stepped out of the bathroom and aimlessly walked around until I heard the faint sound of a TV playing. Feeling curious, I followed the source of the sound down the hallway. Breaking news: a sudden storm hits the bay as gale force winds and knock over street sides and every awning. Oh, great. Believe that the sudden change of weather will die down soon and to stay safe indoors. Oh, I'm not going home. I continue to follow the noise until it suddenly cuts out and changes to glaring monotone sound, indicating that the television must have lost all signal. And soon enough, I found myself in Ren's spacious lounge room. Aside from the TV, the rest of the lights were off, but I could still make out most of the dark shapes within the room with ease. It was just as ostentatious as the rest of his house, though I couldn't help but feel like it lacked any form of life. It lacked life. I just didn't seem like someone actually lived here. The furniture was gaudy yet tasteless. There was hardly any personal decoration or colors, and there was nothing that really screamed rent to me. There were no personal touches, photos, items, hobbies, nothing. Just tacky furniture and a bland smell of something sterile. If I was being honest, it gave off the same vibe as a dentist clinic or hospital. I mean, he did mention recently moving in, right? Maybe that's why. Is concealer on? Who moved in? Surprised by the sound of voice, I spin on my heel only to find Ren coming out from one of the hallways with a new set of comfy clothing. He seemed much more at ease like this, especially with the gentle expression on his face. I watch as he takes a respectful glance at my attire before sheepishly averting his attention to the ends of his sleeves. Sorry, that's the smallest pair of clothing that I own. It looks really good on you, though. Oh, thanks. You can even keep them if you want. The sound of thunder rumbling in the distance cuts off Ren's mumbling, and I involuntarily step closer to him. Without missing a beat, he reaches out and rests a protective hand on my shoulder to steady me. Ren idly glances out of the window before turning his undivided attention back to me once more, only this time with a determined look. It's really pouring, huh? I could only nod my head at his words, suddenly feeling sheepish all of a sudden. I really should have checked the weather forecast before I went out today. But to be fair, it didn't look as though it started spontaneously raining when I left my apartment this morning. But I guess I was enjoying my time with Ren to the point where I didn't even realize the weather was turning sour. Angel? Sorry, what did you say? Ah, I just asked if you wanted to stay the night here, seeing how hard it's raining out there and your clothes haven't finished drying yet. It'd be no trouble, and I could return the favor, considering you let me stay at your apartment yesterday. Staying at this place for the night? Well, this certainly isn't how I expected to end my day. But would it really be that bad? It definitely beats waiting out the storm and walking home with a bunch of puddles everywhere. Well, let's just stay. Why is it glitched? We're taking the glitchy one. What was that? Did I really want to stay the night at Erin's place? I guess I did. I couldn't really remember otherwise. I guess I could stay the night, if that's really okay with you. Yeah, of course it is. It's totally fine. Well, he really was an energetic, eccentric man, wasn't he? I picked the glitchy one. Is that different? Let me know if you need any more pillows or blankets. Or if the room gets too cold. I haven't worked out how to use the fancy heater system yet, but I can definitely try. Also, you already know where the bathroom is, but if you... Okay, I think I got it, Ren. I showed him a reassuring smile as I turned to face him at the door. I should have gotten used to his attentive and observant behavior by now, but it still felt like a foreign side of him that I hadn't fully uncovered. Still, at least he wasn't stuttering as much anymore. I know, I'm sorry. I just want you to be as comfortable as possible, so just treat this house like it's your own. Alright, gotcha. He also doesn't want to leave, and instead lingers in front of the door a little while longer. Are you sure there isn't anything else you need? Anything at all? Can I get it? What's behind that locked door? What? Oh, what is behind the locked door? What's behind the locked door? The locked door? What door? Oh, you mean the one at the end of the hallway? All of a sudden, his timid persona is back again. Was he just nervous? What could he possibly be hiding in that room that makes him act like this? There's nothing in particular, just, I'm kind of using it as a storage room for all the furniture in my old place. It's really messy in there. It'd be embarrassed if you saw what's behind that door. Oh, yeah, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Great, now I'm the person who drew accusations at someone kind enough to offer me a place to stay the night. So, it was nice to know what he did own. Some kind of furniture. Sorry, I guess I was just really curious about it. Usually, people don't leave the lights on behind locked doors. Oh, yeah. I'd be happy to show you what's behind the door when it's not so cluttered. But if that's all, then I guess I'll let you get some sleep. If you need anything, my room is just 3 doors down. Gotcha. Good night, Ren. Good night. Sweet dreams. I'm gonna open the door. I watch the sign as Ren turns on his heel and makes his way towards his own room, down the hall. Shaking my head at his odd behavior, I close the door behind me and slowly take my way towards the bed. I noticed that the Havico plushie Ren had brought earlier was sitting atop the sheets, and I gently bring it close to my chest to give it a soft squeeze. So he really did buy this for me after all. The faintest hint of cherry and mint emits from the toy and makes my mind drift to thoughts of that strange pink-haired man once more. He was still as odd as usual, but some part of him was starting to feel rather endearing. I noticed how he was no longer stuttering as much or acting as shy, and it made me wonder if he was getting closer. Now that I really thought about it, how do I feel about Ren? I think I like him. Okay, so I guess he was kind of cute and endearing in his own way. Ren was very considerate and attentive towards me today, which I really liked, and he even brought me a plushie without being asked. That instantly raises him from a 4 out of 10 to a solid 7 out of 10. Ren certainly had a boyfriend potential, but things were still too awkward between us for it to lead in that direction. But still, it was nice to think about it. It was certainly nice to think about. Rolling onto my side, I hugged the plushie closer so I could be surrounded by his comfort scent and slowly drift off to sleep. No, no, no! No! Go back! Open the locked door! Can I open the locked door? Yes. This one. Huh? What happens if I do this? There, you just asked that? I mean, I guess I did. I want to lie to him a bit, but that seemed a bit too much. Almost sheepishly, I dared to look up and gauge his reaction. He seems to be taking it just as awkward as I was, judging from how red his face and neck gets. Just kidding, I don't really know why. Before he could react, Ron was already leaning down and pressing his soft lips against my own. Ooh. Ooh. This kiss was brief and chaste, but it still made the both of us flustered. Is that okay? Uh-huh. Okay, good. I'm glad. Before I could even respond, he was already turning on his heel and speed walking towards his own room. Huh. Let's go with this one. Can I not open the locked door? Okay, then what happens if I do this? No, I'm not sick of you yet, but I want to look at what's behind the locked door. Hmm. Bright blue eyes looked down at me, and I could practically feel the hope radiating from his body. Deciding to take the initiative, I stepped even closer to the pink-haired man and rest my hands against his sides. Without missing a beat, I pulled right into the room by the ends of his shirt, making sure I tuck him down and plant a kiss on his inviting lips in the process. Oh. Can we just cuddle? Oh no! Wait, okay, wait. I somehow felt safe in his embrace, and the way he was pressing a hot, fervent kiss against my mouth made me forget all about the muted downpour of rain outside. Ren seemingly felt the same given how he didn't even bat an eye at the flash of lightning, instead appearing content with hoisting my legs around his waist and carrying me towards the edge of the bed. Well, that was rather bold of him. I let him take the initiative for the moment as I let my hands aimlessly wander up and down his expanse of his admittedly large chest before settling against the exposed skin just above his grey sweatpants instead. Touch his neck, there's concealer. Remove it. My sudden touch seems to pull an audible gasp from Ben as his hips begrudgingly leave my own to peer down at me instead. Oh my god. Here we go again. Okay. Uh. Okay. Fine. So we're going with the sitting. The sitting I took. That's the end of day 2. And I picked different options and I still can't get into the locked door. So I'm guessing I just don't get to go into the locked door at this chapter. But I get to know the door exists. So we're just gonna have to deal with that. I'm not reading the smut anymore. Don't look at me like that. If you want to do it yourself, you can go get the game yourself. The link is down below. And yeah, that was the second episode. I'm leaving. Bye bye.